to destroy our worlds.
And you say,
A new world order.
New world order.
A new world order.
The New World Order.
A new world order.
A new world order.
The new world order.
New World Order. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
Bam. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Drew. I made it just in time for Friday night. It's now Saturday where I'm at. But you're checking out that Drew World Order Live. I wanted to do this stream last week. The kids weren't letting me. And it's kind of good because more stuff has transpired. And there's a little more to talk about here this week. So great to see you all here tonight. Appreciate you all. Smash the like. Do all that jazz. So I want to talk about here tonight Donald Trump, sent by God, or reality TV final boss. So if you're new here, we got the Sanity Machine in the house. What's up, Sanity Machine? That one guy is after you, Sanity Machine. Aaron Gaywood, he's coming for you, bro. Watch out. But in this channel, I like to talk about actor-based reality. The world's a stage. And it's almost inconceivable to people that these plans could be this long term, right? And the one thing I look at is, I look at 9/11, and it's like, when it's all said and done, you study it, it's like obviously the thing was designed like they knew the day they were going to take it down when they put it up. That's the way I see it anyway, after looking at it for so long. And how long was it up? 33 years or whatever it was. But that indicates, there's time, there's planning to build the building and get everything in place that would need for that to happen. So you're looking at a minimum of like a 50-year plan minimum as they run the script out. So I looked up like what's the longest running soap opera, and the one right now is General Hospital. And I think it's been on for like 54. Oh no, As the World Turns went for 54 years. 72-year soap opera was called Guiding Light. Your grandmother probably watched it. She watched her programs. I know my grandma, she watched the Days of Our Lives, and I think Young and the Restless was the other one she watched. Shout out to Grandma Oni. Oh, here we go. Big Enchilada Donald comes from Dumnu Ulaus, world ruler or world wielder. Yeah, and there's so much like predictive programming of Donald Trump being the guy. And we'll kind of talk. There's so much though that I'm probably forgetting some, and I'm not gonna be able to cover some. So feel free to drop some more in the chat or in the comments later. So yeah, 72 years. So the difference in this, the actor-based reality, the world's a stage idea would be, the difference would be there's like a loose plot of places they want to get to by certain years to kind of transform society. Where these soap operas with so many different, like I'm talking about the television network soap operas, General Hospital, Guiding Light, they have so many different moving pieces and everything, the actors and every directors, and I'm sure they don't have much of a script past a few months, right? Kind of where they want to get to, maybe a loose guideline of a year. Same with like professional wrestling. There's kind of the loose guideline for 1 year. If they wanted this year, tomorrow night, they wanted to get to Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, and they got there very slowly over the year. And now that's what it was all built up to do, a 1 year plan. So now it seems to me that these characters on the world stage fulfill the same role, and there is shorter term kind of conquest that they do in the meantime. But there's an ultimate overarching story that they want to accomplish to transform society again, right? To social engineer everyone. And this is the term Tim Osman of the Infinite Plane Society, shout out to him. He calls it the meta script, which is a great term, that there is a long-term script. I think if you can look step back far enough and see it, I think I don't want to say it's obvious. And your other option would be it's 100% real and there's supernatural forces in play, which I don't really take that off the table. As ridiculous as it sounds, and as much as I am into the actor-based reality, I guess you couldn't deny like the hand of God if that were really the thing. But I think these people that we're looking at, specifically Donald Trump, if you just look at their life and everything, I'm not sure these are the people that would be filled with the Holy Spirit. But that's not up for me to decide. It's up for you guys to decide. So leave a comment. I'm gonna try to stay more on point with what I'm talking about, and kind of, I'm usually really into the chat and everything. So I'm gonna try to stay more focused on what I'm talking about tonight. So don't think I'm ignoring you if I see you guys here. And it started, it started a long time ago, I guess. And I have the links just kind of scattered everywhere, but I feel like we're at this point right here, right now. So this is when he got elected the first time. There's so many clues. This is what makes it, that kind of reveals it to me, is there's just so many clues that there's no way this could be anything but a long-term plan with very few key figures even in on it.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your answers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
And that was there was like all multiple news stories, if you go look it up on Google, about him saying the calm before the storm. And this is where kind of the Q people came on. And I somewhat believe a little bit of the Q narrative. Not that I believe it at all. I'm on record on Instagram. If you scroll way back, as soon as it came out, I called it, just to placate people and cause them to do nothing. And it's not real. And then that it is government propaganda to kind of get you to sit on your hands. But I do believe there is an element of kind of predictive programming in there of the things they want to be done. Now, maybe it is, or maybe this entire Trump thing, what we're seeing is just to get you to sit on your hands and just to get people to think, hey, he's coming back, this is going to happen. And then it's just a big Project Blue Ball is just nothing burger at the end of the day. Nothing will happen. That's totally possible too, I guess. Yeah. And so we got the indictment now with the case with Stormy Daniels, right? So that's another, is it supernatural that he's involved with a woman named Stormy Daniels and he's talking about the storm? And I'll explain. I'm sure you guys all know it. If there's someone that's watching that doesn't know what it is, David Goggins, this guy just cracks me up. So I was running fucking 20 miles and I broke a sweat and I told my body, I said, quit being a bitch. That's like every single video of David Goggins, this dude here on the right. Sorry, where was I? I just got triggered when I see that dude. Oh yeah, so it's Trump and Stormy Daniels, right? I thought I had that one up. And you got to ask yourself, is there's a few different, if you want to keep everything on the table and if you want to ask yourself what's really going on here, you got to be willing to figure out every possible scenario. One possible scenario would be it's like a supernatural. This guy, there's a supernatural hand guiding him, and he just so happened to be involved with this woman here. That's her name's Stormy Daniels, and he's the man chosen by God to be filled with God's Spirit or whatever to go in and quote unquote drain the swamp. That's what the Q is. That's where I was going before Goggins. That basically like the whole Q narrative is basically Donald Trump's the white hat, right? And he's got people in place in the government, and they're gonna sweep out all the bad guys, basically, kind of restore the American Republic and blah blah blah. Right? I don't believe that really. I believe they're gonna present you a story like somewhat like that though. I don't necessarily think it's, to me it's all kind of smoke and mirrors, because what the whole thing would be about, if it is actors, so if you're able to hold that other idea in your mind and then also examine here's the other idea of it, they're all actors on a world stage. Might not even be the same guy anymore. It might be a guy in a mask or a Snapchat filter or something. Biden as well, right? These could be interchangeable. It's just like a role on a movie where you get a new actor to play him or whatever. That's even possible too. Or AI, as everyone has seen the generative AI growing by leaps and bounds in the past couple months. Think about that's the private sector stuff, right? Or I'm sorry, that's what the public gets, right? Imagine what the private military industrial complex, the stuff has, and how many years have they had that. So your other option is, if it's not real, if he's not being led by God, then it's actors, right? If it is he's being led by the hand of God or something, then, and if it's all real, then he's somehow in quantumly entangled with someone named Stormy Daniels to, as EBT likes to say, send, covert messages through overt means to let the other players involved know. And I mean, it's almost the odds to me on just that one thing, let alone all the other things. We'll kind of go through a lot of them tonight. It would just be way too astronomical to me. EBT said red tie versus blue tie. I have cat emojis here tonight. If you remember, you guys want to have a cat fight in the chat, go ahead and let it go. What I really want to do is have just different politicians making crazy faces. Like on the backup channel, Get Chalked Up, where we do the panels. Make sure you're subscribed. I have all the wrestler themed emojis. I want to have it all themed on this channel, but like AOC, Trump making crazy faces and stuff. I just haven't got around to it yet. My boys have been keeping me so busy, it's nuts here. I'm just gonna play this little clip, man. If you guys, I know some of us have checked out so far. You get so jaded from looking at this stuff for so long, and then you check out and you just kind of read the headline or whatever. I'll just play this little bit here.
According to Stormy Daniels,
it shows us exactly how we got here.
To speed it up, man, you got to listen faster.
for the first time in history, a former president has been indicted on criminal charges. President Trump's downfall allegedly tied to an illicit affair in 2006 with porn star Stormy Daniels, and what prosecutors say was his subsequent quest to cover it up, as he was in the throes of his 2016 presidential run. To understand how we got here, it's important to put this case into context. According to Stormy Daniels, whose real name is Stephanie Clifford, she and the former president were together in 2006 and 2007, shortly after Trump married his wife, the not yet former First Lady, Melania Trump. Fast forward to 2016. Stormy Daniels was looking to capitalize on the fling with a tell-all book. Allegedly, the Trump camp got wind of it and wanted to make it go away. So, Trump fixer Michael Cohen, who himself has done time for campaign finance violations, organized a $130,000 payment through a shell company, allegedly at the behest of Trump. According to Cohen, the payments were made in installments from Cohen's own account and then reimbursed by the Trump organization, but disguised as legal expenses. Trump has maintained he never had an affair with Stormy Daniels and that Cohen is a liar. On Good Day New York Thursday, Trump's current attorney, Joe Tacopina, reiterated the claim that Trump did not break any state laws.
If the expenditure or the payment was made and would have been made by that person irrespective of the campaign, it's not a campaign finance law violation. Here, that's clearly what this was, something that was made, and that's why it was personal funds were used.
This is
So I was watching Jurassic. He was live earlier tonight, so shout out to Jurassic Liars. I didn't really care enough to look this up. I probably should have, since I'm doing this presentation here, but he was saying that Donald Trump was talking about he's going to turn himself in on 4/4, which is what, in a couple days, Tuesday, which when he did originally tweet out last week though, or whatever, like 10 days ago or something. Now he said they're going to arrest me on Tuesday is what he said. And then that whole week came and went and nothing happened. And now it's coming up again and he's going to go in on a Tuesday. So you do see a lot of that with Trump, a lot of things similar to Conor McGregor in the UFC, where they called him Mystic Mac, where Conor McGregor was able to kind of quote unquote predict what was going to happen in these matches and stuff. And then it did. So are they kind of rigged or whatever, right? I'm sure they are. Well, the same thing would be here, right? Like Trump's handlers or whatever probably know what's going on, and he has a vague idea of what's going on. And it's just really hard to for people to grasp, I think, the magnitude of the length that this program would be planned, I think, and especially for this guy to be in on it. But to me too, that kind of would kind of be a proof against it. That how do they know that this guy could stay in good health until this time for what they want to accomplish, which would be they want to target, right? They want to target the people that would be resistant to the changes they want to bring about. If they want to bring about, a digital currency, or if they want to bring about a, almost like a new constitution and a new set of rules and everything like that, they need to target the people that are holding true and fast to the old ways and the old ideas. And Trump reaches out to them with the "Make America Great Again" slogan. And if he can get those people under his spell, which you see him out here in the streets, you know that they do, then those are the people that are going to be the most resistant to that change. You get them to easily accept this change with this guy here as the figurehead to lead you into this new paradigm, whatever it may be, man. Blockchain, whatever. And I mean, I feel like we're right here at the cusp of it. It seems like they got Trump in. They got to give you the story, make it plausible and believable to you. They, at the same time, they're deconstructing the media. They know you don't believe in the media. They know they have their Facebook posts and everything like that. So they have to make the story somewhat believable, where he would need to be almost like he goes in the office the first time, right? Kind of feels it out, see who's on his side and who's not, and then he can get in again, knowing who's on what side of the fence or whatever, and who he can trust to do this, drain the swamp or whatever they're gonna go forward with. The links are a little out of order because I was just trying to kind of getting each one of my thoughts on a link so I could remember them. I wish I had a little better order to them, but you guys all saw this too, is the Trump generative AI, where he's escaping the police, and now they have the puffy Pope. And I feel like this is part of the whole thing that's coming up, as you saw in the early days of the pizza and all that with Hillary Clinton and Huma. They were gonna release all these tapes of them eating faces and all this crazy stuff, right? I maybe not that specific example, but I do believe for Trump to be vindicated, or for some next step they want to take this plan, they're gonna have to release some damning evidence on some certain people, and then they want to get this stuff out here to kind of muddy the water, so that, let's just take that example. I don't necessarily think it will be that one, but Huma and Hillary eating the face, let's say that's the one they want to leak out there. They want this out here for plausible deniability for the people that are the diehard I stand with her people and everything like that. They want them to be like, well, it must be just like this picture right here that I saw last week or a couple weeks ago or whatever. And that's why they're going so hard and fast and bringing out all this stuff, because I think there will be some revelations. Now, again, as a movie, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're real at all, but they're going to present them as they're real. And then this stuff, this generative AI images and all this that's been dominating the news lately, this is all here to confuse you and not make you know what to believe. The most likely thing to me is that it's all literally like a movie or a soap opera. WWE. When's the Pope's album dropping? It's coming soon. The indictment's happening. It's all like the president got kicked off Twitter, right? I mean, how ridiculous is that? Even to believe that story. That's why I had to put the classic picture of him holding the dove, but put the little Twitter bird, because it's just too funny to think about that would be real. But again, that's how you get. That was the entire play of Trump the whole time to get him even in there, is because they know you don't trust the media, have the media against him. And then it's basic reverse psychology on these people that don't trust the media. And they say, okay, well, if he's not real, why is the media against him? I mean, it's pretty obvious. All right, let's get this out of here. Let me start dropping some of these links. I did see that. I didn't know what this was, so I'm talking about, let's look back in the past and all the old predictive programming. We got the Donald Trump or the Last President book and the Barron Trump books. I got that link up. That'll be coming. I'm just gonna go left to right, so it'll be coming in a little bit. But there was also this thing called Trump Magazine. I never heard of this, but if you look at it here, he's the cover. He is a Trump card. I mean, it's not him, but the cover is a Trump card with blonde hair. And it was like Mad Magazine. It said, and it was published by Hugh Hefner back in 1957, a magazine called Trump. And it said it went out of production after 2 issues because Hefner said he gave this guy Harvey, that was the guy that ran it, he gave him an unlimited budget and he exceeded it. So I didn't know, I just had never heard of that one, and when I was kind of pulling up links, I saw that. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of that one. There was also this, remember the Donald Trump Heavy Metal magazine? So this Snopes one will be debunking and saying it's not real. But in 1990, the Heavy Metal magazine, I mean, this is pretty specific here. But in 1990, when you just had a young Donald Trump, and then it's a story of the future where he's running stuff, and it even talks about the wall. And even Snopes here says this one is true. I thought they were going to debunk it. September 2017, the interest in it got renewed. It talked about a controversial wall by Donald Trump, as well as a populist rise to power by the future United States president. Where's the actual... There's like actual images of it where he's, yeah, here he is. Hold on. So this would be filed under like the predictive programming, right? Of similar to you saw the buildings in 9/11 getting knocked down before that happened. So you got the same thing here, because there are people in the know. There is a script. There are people that know this, and as QOC says, yeah, they don't. No one's involved, and it's all supernatural. That there is a possibility to that to some of these, but I think the vast majority of them are planted. I think I have the opposite take of QOC, where he thinks only maybe a small portion of them are planted. I think only a small portion of them would be kind of supernatural or just a coincidence. But yeah, here he is, Trump being super popular here with all these people. Like almost like the bikers, it says some guardian demons, like the New York Guardian Angels or whatever is what their shirt says. I don't know if you can read it, but yeah, they're holding them up. He says, I had a scheme that has brought we the people this glorious moment. I hold in my hands plan for a monument so we will never forget our struggle, a symbol of the spirit, which it will be built. The crowd's all behind him. I believe in that story too. The villain of the story was Leona Helmsley, the old madam. She was a madam. I read this a long time ago when it came back out or whatever. I don't really remember the exact ending of it. The new monument was created. It says a shining achievement to our spanning north to south, commemorating all the people that helped realize it. Yeah, I don't remember. If you guys can look it up yourself, I don't remember exactly how it ended. And that Leona Helmsley was the villain. That was Grandma Oni's real name, Leona. So shout out again. Two shout outs in one episode to Grandma Oni. And then the one I put on the cover, kind of remixed, was the picture of him way back in, I think it's 1985, is where they put this dude in a magazine with the dove, the symbol of the peace. And the gist of that story, so it was, Manhattan Magazine, November 1985, Donald Trump posing with the dove. So this is kind of when he's first coming into the public eye, right? And it's not much longer after that they're making that Heavy Metal magazine. I kind of should have had this in chronological order, but it's fine. Leona was the owner of I think she owned a hotel, I think you're right, and it was like she was a madam running hose out of the hotel. Before your mom stayed there, it was called a motel. So they got this dude to pose with the bird, and the article was about the nuclear arms race, which Donald Trump still talks about today. So 1985, this is 40 years ago. Still talking about the same thing. So the one thing you see when you look back into the past of Donald Trump is the consistency of his message throughout all the years. That's another thing where you got to weigh it and you got to decide, is this a real deal, a guy with supernatural help, or is this a long-term movie that we're basically being presented? But he did talk about, I believe is this the right one where he talked about, right here. He talks about he has the famed deal-making skills, and he could convince everyone to get rid of their nukes. And he said if they didn't, he said, I guess the easy thing would be to say you go in and clean it out. So his book was called The Art of the Deal, and that's what he's presented as, the guy that can make all these deals. And then so as early as 1985, they're presenting this as a guy to the public to say this is the guy that has the negotiation strategy that could disarm nukes from all nations, or possibly bring about world peace in the Middle East, or to the whole world possibly. That's how they're portraying him here. It says, Trump was famous at this time. He wasn't considered a major trophy for the magazine. Like, he was just a little bit famous then. It's an interesting photo, though, to me. And then, as to show the consistency, the same thing as when he gets into the office, he talks about the United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such times as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes. Now, we know they're not real here, but as the story, or the reality of it is too, though, like the nukes as they tell you, I don't believe it's as they tell you, but there is giant bombs, right? Like bombs that could, huge bomb, mother of all bomb type shit that can take out entire cities. So I think in the truth community, we get so caught up in, well, there's no nuke. So there's not one guy that can press one red button and kill the entire world. I think that's true, but you could drop some serious damage on just one city, level an entire city with just a few planes, I think. So it's almost like, once you figure all that out, you almost go the opposite way, where other people are so concerned about the nukes and everything, and then you get to the opposite end where you don't care about it at all, but then you kind of almost forget the insane amount of money the military spends on devastating bombs and stuff like that. Illumitami says there's an interesting story about all Trump helicopters come from a drug runner. Yeah, that is interesting. Okay, Elle says she read that comic. He was a swindler and half-ass player and left New York a hot mess. Yeah, but I remember it being that way too. Like, it was like in the end he turned out to be bad. But that was that one. That's like his famous. So 85, they're presenting you this guy as this 40 years ago, basically. He went on Oprah. Dang, I wonder if I can even play this one, if the whole stream will go down. I can play a little bit, maybe.
You took out a full-page ad in major U.S. newspapers last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy.
So this is 1988. I'm going to have to continuously stop this one. Let me speed it up too. I think you can play a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure about Oprah though.
What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here.
So if this thing is a long-term written script, you got to remember too, even here in 1988, they understand that this clip, by the time we get to where they want to get to, which is now today possibly, they understand there's going to be something like YouTube. Maybe in their plans it's not called YouTube, but they know there's going to be a handheld device in everyone's hands sharing old videos at this time, and they know they can create this consistent character throughout time, and everyone's going to go back and look at it because there's a plan to decimate this technology to every person, basically, right? They had that plan. They knew when they wanted that, which was, to me, it seemed like they wanted the smartphone specifically. They wanted to wait until after 9/11, so they didn't want any HD 4K videos there. So back then it was just the regular cell phones, and then shortly after that became the proliferation of the smartphone.
They sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like...
Same sentiments you'd hear from typical rhino or whatever today, right? Well, now they're Trump-tards, I guess. The rhinos are the ones that don't like them. So he was on Oprah. You can go back to all these different, I'm kind of scared of playing that Oprah. Not scared, but I feel like that'll get struck. I'll have to probably pull that out of the stream later. But he was even on 60 Minutes in like the 80s talking about the same thing. Like, I don't know what year. Let's just, how about 1990? See if we can find it. But they always asked him about his presidential aspirations. Yeah, I don't know what to type. I should have that one pulled. I might have it up on another tab. Yeah, it's only bringing up it's getting harder and harder to find these types of things on YouTube. Yeah, here's one of them. I knew I had it up. 1985 again. So the same time they had that video of him holding the magazine of him holding the dove, you were able to watch him on when you only had like still 5 channels, or basically, when was this? 85, I think, right at the beginning of the cable TV or somewhere right before it. So most people only had this few channels in their home, and this was one of them. So this really introduced him to the people as a possible political future.
There is a new billionaire in town. Trump's the name. Donald Trump is a major deal maker, a swashbuckler. Donald, you're in your late 30s. You got 40 years to live, minimum.
Well, I hope you're right about that.
What are you going to do?
So 40 years ago, they're saying, hey, this is the character we're going to have on the world stage 40 years from now, doing what he's doing today. And they know you're going to go back and watch it.
There are a lot of things to do. You know, a fertile imagination and a good fertile mind, Mike, it's really amazing what can be thought of. There are so many things to do.
Politics?
So many. No, not politics.
You've said that you could do a better job at negotiating an arms control agreement with the Soviets than some of these professionals who've been trying to do it for years.
I didn't say me, Mike. I said somebody has to do it. If it were me, that'd be fine. I could do it. Somebody has to help this country, and if they don't, the country and the world are in big trouble. Because within a short period of time, as sure as we're sitting here, there's not going to be a country and there's not going to be a world.
So there it is, 1985. More than 30 years before he announced he would run for the White House. Here's another one, 1980 interview. play this short little bit.
Could make America perfect, how would you do it?
Well, I think that America is a country that has tremendous, tremendous potential. I think that, much like the mind, I think that America is using very, very little of its potential. I feel that this country, with the proper leadership, can go on to become what it once was, and I hope, and certainly hope, that it does go on to be what it should be.
What should it be?
Well, it should really be a country that gets the respect of other countries.
Is respect the most important thing in your opinion?
Well, respect can lead to other things. When you get the respect of the other countries, then the other countries tend to do a little bit as you do, and you can create the right attitudes. The Iranian situation is a case in point. That they hold our hostages is just absolutely and totally ridiculous. That this country sits back and allows a country such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror.
So you got to ask yourself, is this real and he's consistent, or is this an advertisement to sit in your mind of the boomer for 30 more years until they can activate that, like a sleeper cell advertisement, basically?
And I don't think they'd do it with other countries. I honestly don't think they'd do it with other countries.
Obviously, you're advocating that we
Narnia said lots of coke bloat in this.
should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that, yes. I don't think there's any question, there's no question in my mind. I think right now would be an oil-rich nation, and I believe that we should have done it, and I'm very disappointed that we didn't do it, and I don't think anybody would have held us in abeyance. I don't think anybody would have been angry with us, and we had every right to do it at the time. I think we've lost the opportunity.
For some people.
Or is the dude, is he like a foreign agent? Is that the Russia objective? You know, is he financed by Russia or whatever those Russian, or I'm starting to think it's real, guys. I believe it. It's real. You know, chat's fighting about nukes. Okay, this is the one thing that one of the main things that I wanted to talk about tonight, and I have a few of them pulled up, but there's many more that you can look up yourself. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Kim Clement prophecy of Donald Trump, and I don't think. I mean, if we're in it for the long haul, I can just play a lot of this actually and just let it play because I think this is interesting. So you have this guy named Kim Clement. Here, let's play this top TikTok one first because it might only be a minute, but I know that Facebook one's longer. Give you a taste of what this guy basically, he was, I don't know if he's like a preacher or something, but he's this South African dude that had like a ministry in a church, and that back in like 2007, 2011, times like that, he predicted Donald Trump as a rise in political power, as a Christian praying president and stuff like that. And it's not just a vague prediction of, you know, there will be a man to come no, the guy comes out and says it's going to be Donald Trump, literally, like. So it's super interesting, and I thought it was funny when I typed this into YouTube. It was getting harder to find it. I used to be able to find this right away, and it's harder and harder to find it. Okay, yeah, there's a few of them on TikTok here. Let me just play the top one. I don't want to log in. Okay.
That I will bring into the White House, and they will say he is ungodly. He does not know God. But even as Jesus.
So this is from 2007. So I don't think Trump's even still not considered really viable to be presidential material even then, 2007.
Disguised himself for the great feast. So I have disguised this man's heart. And when he comes to the White House, not only shall he be mine, but he shall pray as a man that has never prayed in the White House. Is anybody excited about this? That same man, says the Spirit of God, shall put his feet onto this platform, and God says they will say, how did this take place? Laws shall change. Young men and young women shall have access into the kingdom, and with authority into politics, and with authority into the industries that now have been controlled by darkness. Because of this man that shall rule for another 2 terms, for 2 terms, God said, do not fear, for the Lord says there will be no unnecessary stuff, but there will be things that men shall question. Fear not, for he shall sit in that seat, and suddenly my Spirit shall come upon him and baptize him him with a fire and with anointing, says the Spirit of the Lord.
And this dude, that kind of goes with when Trump says, you know, hey, I am the chosen one and everything like that. And I believe I have that clip. I'll play that in a minute too. But is this real? Is this guy really here? Is he a prophet? How could he have known that? Or does he have handlers or something that tell him to say this or whatever? And apparently this guy died. He did live to see Trump get elected, and I think he died either right after the election or right after Trump got in office. And he's very consistent with, and when I was looking him up, all his different predictions, he says all the time there will be 2 terms of Donald Trump, and that the second term he will be a praying president. So it seems like if that's where they go, that's where they want to go, is to bring in more like white Christian nationalism into the country, which isn't a bad thing in my opinion.
Come on! No more war! No more war! No more war!
Yeah, I see New Edge Designs has the same comment, what I just said there too. Yeah, creating Christian extreme. I think you're going to kind of see that around the world, as you're going to see more and more nationalism. That's the one prediction I do like of Archaics, is he says you're going to see more China go away from communism into more nationalism, because a nationalist China is more dangerous to America than the communist one that wants to just sell them all these goods produced super cheap. I think more nationalism would breed more like wars. And that's kind of where they want to go with Brexit and all this other, all across the world. You kind of see that happening, especially now as the backlash to the woke and everything continues to spread. I just saw the one where they said the NHL, I couldn't think of the acronym, the NHL Hockey League, they were trying to get them to wear the woke, the rainbow jerseys and everything like that. And since so many of the players aren't from the United States, they're from Russia and all these other countries where the men are still hardened, those men said, yeah, I'm not doing this. So the NHL just completely scrapped the idea going forward. Maybe not the whole NFL, but a lot of the NHL, but a lot of the teams did, for sure. And that's the kind of person I think they want to have the American become. I think not so much the Amerimut McDonald's slave anymore. I think that we're going to see the pendulum swing in the other direction now. White Christian nationalist type. We'll see though, right? Sun Piz, what up, Sun Piz? I'll play a little bit more. I think this is super interesting. So this is this is not the one I'm thinking of. So this is a guy talking about that Kim Clements prophecy.
Stood with him. I am dissatisfied, he said in that great South African accent. He said, I'm dissatisfied with the Republicans and with the Democrats. God's dissatisfied with both parties. I will raise up someone who will be an absolute irritant to the left and will not be liked by the right. I thought, how can you raise up a politician who neither the Republicans or Democrats like? Donald Trump has been that person. God raised him up, and we will find out later what has been going on. But why did God not intervene in such a way so as to right the ship? I believe that he's still turning over the rocks of America's depravity. Yep. He's pointing out where it is.
Yeah, 2020 website says it perfect here in the chat. Says Donald John Trump represents the nationalist arm of the world order versus the globalist arm of the world order. I've been saying this from the beginning. Doesn't matter if it is scripted. Perception is everything. Yeah, either way, it's going to be the same thing, right? But then you have an enemy to fight. But I think they do see the demoralization probably is way worse than they ever expected for the Americans. Where everywhere you go, there's hiring signs. People don't even want to work jobs and stuff. I think they want to kind of eliminate that and have a little bit more national pride where people want to go to work and try to raise that GDP and everything. And that's why I think what the thing of Trump would be the it would be like tied to some kind of Fed coin or something like that, where as the workers work and GDP grows and everything like that, then your coin itself would inflate like Bitcoin or something, right? And it would be directly tied to the performance of the entire country, and that way you'd get people kind of policing each other to work harder and, you know, do all the things that are going to inflate the coin, basically, which would be like, you know, whatever they want, whatever the things they want you to do now to produce for the corporation, basically. Where is that one, man? So this guy, I'm not sure if on the ones that I've already played, he does specifically name Trump by name. I don't remember if the ones I played here says he does say that. I can't find the one I was watching on my phone earlier. I don't see it here. But there's so many of them. Here's another one. I'm going to play just 1 minute of this. I was kind of watching a bunch of his videos today. Here's one where he talks about what's going on. And this one portrays it, I think, just as clickbait, that he says there's a cataclysm coming in summer 2023. I listened to like 3/4 of the video and I didn't hear him say that specifically in a year. So I think that's just clickbait. But it is interesting here in this little clip. He does talk about, this is from 2015, and this Kim Clement guy talks about Trump, but also Ukraine and Russia.
In the United States of America and Europe. Now, you're probably saying, well, you've seen that on the news. We know that could possibly happen. No. This is very well planned by the powers of darkness. Cataclysmic is the word that I heard. A period starting now and going into summer. And if God does not intervene, certainly there will be many, many, many deaths. And I saw children. And so that's why I've been praying, I've been weeping, I've been standing. At one time I asked the Lord to put a bit of machinery on outside my garden by somebody so that I could actually scream and shout because the neighbors will stop me. And suddenly this huge machine started making a noise. I don't know what they were doing, but they were doing something in the road. And I prayed for about an hour, and hell itself was trembling, at the sound of the passion and the fervor that was coming from my voice. So, as I said again, I heard the word social, political, economical upheaval, deluge, and violent action. Now, what you've heard maybe isn't anything new because you've heard that from others. However, I did see Russia and Ukraine again.
I will not.
Did you hear that at the end? That was where he says Russia and Ukraine. Listen, I'll go back.
From others. However, I did see Russia and Ukraine again.
I will not allow my people to fall, but I will.
This guy's so extra the way he talks. But yeah, if you guys want to look that up, there's actually a lot. It's getting harder to find it. The Kim Clements Trump prophecies, and he has other prophecies and stuff too. I never really dove that deep into the other stuff that he talks about. There was also this other guy here too, this guy was a fireman, and this guy also predicted 2 presidencies, 2 terms for Donald Trump. I remember this one too when I went back looking for the Kim Clements in the past, and I came across this one, which is a totally different guy.
By other people who were running with him.
In April of 2011, retired firefighter Mark Taylor was watching the news when Donald Trump came on the screen.
I didn't know a lot about Donald Trump. I just knew he was a very powerful businessman, built this empire. I knew he was toying with the idea of running for president at the time. Most people thought it was a joke.
Well, he's kind of a comic book figure. I mean, he's a show-off.
He's a sideshow who threatens to swallow the Republican Party.
So I'm listening to him on an interview, and all of a sudden I just heard the voice of the Lord say, "You're hearing the voice of a president."
Mark went into his office, got out a pen and paper, and started to write what he says the Holy Spirit told him.
He was saying that basically that America was going to prosper like never before. Israel and America, the ties between the 2 countries would be stronger than ever before. The dollar would be the strongest it was ever been.
The economy is booming under this president. We're up 254 points, 21,000 on the Dow.
It was very detailed as far as what God was showing me.
And Mark, this was 2011.
This was 2011.
Before he died.
So that's a good point, is actually with Trump, at least at first, they gave you some prosperity. They want you to remember that prosperity. And then everything else you can just blame on COVID. Everything else during his presidency, you can just say, well, it wasn't him. It was this wrench was thrown into his plan. and you're going to remember the beginning part that was good. And then they bring, I think, to me, part of the plan is to now you bring in Biden, or basically a second, or I should say a third, right, of Obama term, basically. Basically, the guy's running the same thing as Obama would be running it. And so they want to show you just how bad it can get under like this more socialist regime. And they want you to see the contrast from the very beginning, that you remember the good Trump before COVID derailed him, versus everything now, the woke, today was like trans visibility day. The day after that happened at that school, that thing happened. And I think it's going to get more and more off the rails. And I'm still not taking my prediction, even though my date wasn't right, off the table, as you will see the curse of Tecumseh. You will see Biden succumb to the curse of Tecumseh. Biden will not be able to complete the presidency. Whether he dies or not is up for grabs. But then you will see Kamala get a short turn, and I think it'll get even worse. As bad as it is now, they'll make sure it gets worse. And it goes right with the martyrdom, basically, that's happening with Donald Trump's indictment right now. He's going to be seen as a martyr by these people, and the country will fall into more chaos before the next election.
Ever announced.
Before he ever announced.
Taylor originally thought the prophecy would happen during the 2012 presidential election, but it was not to be.
Thought I'd missed it. I truly missed it.
Then, on June 16, 2015,
I am officially running for President of the United States.
Mark's prophetic word suddenly didn't seem so far-fetched. When election night finally rolled around, Trump's win astounded the most experienced political journalists.
Well, my crystal ball has been shattered into atoms here, because I predicted the exact opposite of what happened.
Taylor says God used Trump to stop an anti-Christian agenda that was taking hold of America.
The enemy's timeline has been denied by the Most High God, and it's through Donald Trump. A lot of this is being denied right now. And what God is saying right now is like, no, it's not time right now, because there's many, many things that God wants to accomplish on the earth right now.
But Taylor says there's one part of the prophecy that hasn't come to pass yet, regarding the news media.
Fake stories are being reported. A lot of bad things are being reported that aren't true.
So the news media would be captivated by him, and they would even begin to agree with him. That's the only line in the prophecy that hasn't come to pass yet. So we got to ask ourselves, what's fixing to happen to make the mainstream news media begin to agree with him?
What is fixing to happen?
God's going to clean out the news media. God is looking for his people right now, his millionaires and his billionaires, basically, to come in and start investing in these places and buying them out, taking over. God's going to rebuild them and restore them, because there's no spirit of truth in them right now. And that's what God's going to restore.
Taylor believes Trump's...
I do believe also in that Kim Clements prophecy, too. There's one where he names even specifically, he names CNN and all these other ones, and he specifically names The View. And he says all of these organizations will eventually come to praise Donald Trump. So the at least from the prophecy's perspective, what it is he comes in a second term as a more Christian, as a openly praying Christian. And you do see other stories trending that are kind of fueling that, like a Christian revival. What was that thing called? Oh, man. There was okay, I think I got it. I think it was called Asbury Revival. Yeah, there it is. This was in February. I never really heard of this until I was looking into this, the Kim Clements thing, and there was multiple comments about this. Now, you guys might have heard of this. I'm late to the story on this. But it's basically like, I think if I have it right, is look, there's people there right now. It's like a church where they force these kids to go, and it's part of a college or something. I'm sure you guys know it more than me, some of you. And then some of the college students stayed after one of the services where they were forced to, and it just kind of snowballed where they were there for like 3 or 4 weeks straight or something, and more people came. And it's just kind of the story of like a Christian revival, as you know, the Holy Spirit was descending on the people in there and stuff like that. But that was in February. But I'm sure somebody knows more than me. But right here, again, this could be like a fake. This guy says fake. It's ran by gays, and you can read his title. And then also the only thing you need to know here too, to me, about it is you got Ben Shapiro covering it 1 month ago, and he's got almost 1 million views on this story, and he's calling it, this is one of the most inspiring things I've ever seen, Shapiro says. So to me, that kind of that gives a red flag to me. But at the very least, what this shows me is they're testing the waters with trending stories about like Christianity. You saw it with Kanye as well too. Kanye coming out as a Christian and everything like that. Early Baptist says it is fake. Yeah, I just typed it in, and as soon as I saw this dude's face talking about it, and that to me, that these are the narrative pushers. So that's when I would just base my opinion on it based on just this one guy. That's really all I need to know. But if you want to do a more deeper dive on it, obviously feel free. But I believe it does go with all this. Let me finish the rest of this guy's prophecy before I move on here. It's not like a minute left.
Victory is just the beginning. The fireman prophet also predicts the church will thrive and America will see a great move of God.
The army of God will have victory after victory after victory. And I love what President Trump always says. He says, you're going to get sick and tired of winning if there is such a thing. And that's going to be the same way for the army of God. That's going to be victory after victory after victory.
Will it be an 8-year presidency?
Absolutely. Absolutely will.
You're sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure about that because I think what's going to happen is that when people see the good that the country's coming into right now, the prosperity, the jobs, the economy, whatever the case may be, there's going to be no doubt he's going to sail right in for a second term.
Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Okay, another thing another thing thought I had is they could be these people in control. They could be purposely making it so bad and pushing it so far away from that God's natural order is to maybe try to force that, like the spirit of God or whatever to descend on the people, if that makes any sense. They want to make it so bad that rather than it's not even like a natural thing, that it's just like a built-in fail-safe into the realm or whatever, that spirit would have to kind of descend more and more onto the people, and then they want to kind of capitalize on that, I think, if that makes any sense. Stephen David said he appreciates the 1.5 speed. I know some of the people don't like it, but I'm generally at 2x or 1.75. Okay, this is the indictment. 30, more than 30 counts. I bet you it's 33. Let's see, does it say? But this will be the big story next week. It'll stretch out longer than a week for sure, right? And it also ties into, well, they summoned Pence. And again, don't forget the word magic, the meme magic of Trump Pence, right? And of Trump being the trumpet. So they had you saying Trump Pence, where subconsciously you're taking that in, that he's the trumpet of God, basically. All the way back in 1889, the Baron Trump novels, in 1893. Now this is the guy Ingersoll Lockwood, where he had the Baron Trump as the time traveler book, and the Last President book he published in 1900. So this one guy publishes books called Baron Trump, which is Donald Trump's son's name, about him being a time traveler. And then a book called The Last President, where it says right here, Americans are protesting a corrupt election process while the president's hometown of New York City is fearing the collapse of the republic after the transition of presidential power. So you're going to have something similar to this actually happening probably this week, where you're going to have a lot of Trump-tards in the streets in New York and everything like that. If he does go to turn himself in, you're going to have these people on the streets. And then, of course, you're going to have Antifa probably coming down to meet him out there. Hey, what's up, Boru? Boru said, Archaics predicted something was going down on 3:30. Trump was indicted. Tomorrow's the Archaics meetup, man. Anybody going? Yeah, Smiley asked if anyone's read the books. I haven't. To me, too, it could be something along the lines of maybe if it is a script, which I could never prove, but as it gets more and more finalized, the details of it, I believe you could publish these books in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, whenever, and then put them back in time with the internet, meaning no one really seen them, right? And you could just put it on that Library of Congress and say this is the book. Maybe create a couple fakes for eBay or something. I don't know. Or it's real, and maybe the plan is that long, right? Maybe it's you'd be at over 100-year plan, 120-year plan, and it goes right with a similar concept of the Elon Musk being the book that was written with a guy named Elon that was basically the Pope of Mars. Oh, on Burn Eye's channel, Crypto Alchemist, he says he's going live with Tartarian Truth on his channel. EBT and I are welcome anytime. Yeah, for sure. Let me, I think I'm pretty close to being done with these links here. And I can dump everyone in there when we're done. Donald Trump, yeah, again, here he is.
China's made $500 billion. $500 billion. Ripped it out of the United States. And not only that.
Now, I'm so schizo. I always feel like these scenes like this when they're outside of the White House, I feel like it's in front of a green screen and then that noise of the airplane or whatever, the helicopter, whatever that noise is just added in. But it's probably real.
If you take a look, intellectual property theft. Add that to it, and add a lot of other things to it. So somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning.
Who's he looking at when he says that? He looks up.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to.
No, maybe it's real, right? I would never discredit that it's real because you got to be able to hold those ideas in your mind simultaneously, or that's where you get that blind spot and you'll get taken out. What is this one? Oh yeah, they used to call him Donald the Dove. That's all that one was. I was looking at these too. I was going to put one of these on the cover, but I didn't. Pigeon protest group named Putin on February 20th, 2020. Released birds wearing MAGA hats and Trump wigs. Putin stands for Pigeons United to Interfere Now. Put them on. They call themselves a shadowy protest group. They're protesting the arrival of 2020 Democratic candidates for the 9th presidential debate. Birds aren't real. That shit's fake. Pigeon's done. Pigeon's done. That's pigeon again. Another predictive programming. Donald Trump, the enough is enough card, Illuminati card game. And it does say right on that card, it says, our snipers can drop. It's at any time, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. And as with Jurassic, and there's other people too that believe the predictive programming shows that Donald Trump will get a head wound. Donald Trump, enough is enough. He did actually say that quote once. Here it is.
As I look out today at this amazing assembly of police, detectives, marshals, and sheriffs, I want to make all of you remember and heed this promise. I will always support the incredible men and women of law enforcement as much as you.
That's another thing I forgot to say is when this character would be tailored and designed to appeal to the people that would want to naturally revolt against what they want coming, a coin and everything else as they want to transform it. But another thing would be even more militarization of police and everything like that. And to get the Antifa out there and you'll get these people to actually support their own enslavement, basically.
Have always supported me. The attacks on our police are a stain on the very fabric of our society, and you are entitled to leadership at the highest level that will draw a bright line in the sand, not a red line in the sand that isn't gone over, but a bright line in the sand, and we will protect you, that I can tell you, and we will say enough is enough.
See, that might be one where he just knows that that card game exists and he knows he's got to work that in, because then it'll just get everyone talking about it. There's that picture. Oh, that Snopes has it. They even say it's true. There's this picture from Back to the Future. And then Trump and his people posed like that. Now, again, that's another one where I believe that's kind of a troll. Or it's just set up, right? Like, let's say it's even if it's real, let's say he's even guided by God and everything he's doing is 100% legitimate. This would be he's heard of this and he just brings his buddies out and says, hey, let's hit this pose. And obviously the comparison of him, another predictive program in Back to the Future, the Biff Tannen character, it's been done to death. I don't want to cover it too much, but they even admit Biff Tannen's future character is based on Donald Trump. It's not like these people, it's not a reach. They literally admit that's what it's based on, the people that created the movie. You also had that meme, not that meme, but the let me see if I can find it.
I mean, as big as they look on the tube, you don't see what's going on until you come here. And what we saw at Pleasure, what a name right now. But what we just saw.
So the name of the place is actually called Paradise, California, and he's calling it Pleasure.
Oh, we just left Pleasure. Paradise. For Paradise.
Tommy, that's not photoshopped, the last picture. I'll go back in a second. The video was even there.
And what we just saw at we just left Pleasure. Paradise. For Paradise. And what we just saw at Paradise is just
So he called it Pleasure, and then they say Paradise, and he says Paradise, Pleasure, Paradise. Pleasure Paradise Casino was the name of the casino ran by Biff Tannen in the Back to the Future movie. So they do have all that, what do you call it, time traveler type predictive programming on Donald Trump as well. Now, that's what I've said for a long time, that I don't think they would go forward with an alien invasion. I think it'd be easier for them to say time traveler, because you could just say it's a person that looks just like you. How could you prove that it's not a time traveler? You could prove the alien wasn't real if it was some guy in a suit or something. I gotta get Tommy real quick. He said this picture is photoshopped and not real. Just because you're always talking shit, Tommy.
Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I mean, I guess, to be honest, this doesn't prove anything, right? It could be all AI generated. And I think it's real. I think it's just a troll. Yeah, there he is compared to the Biff Tannen character. Back when Trump would have been way younger, right? They kind of already have the archetype, basically. Speaking of archetypes, I did want to, good thing I said that word, is I've talked about in the past, too, about the Vince McMahon, Donald Trump's connection. I've done a few videos. If you haven't seen them, go on my page and search Vince McMahon, Donald Trump. But I did just want to say this as we get into the indictment, as it seems like some things are about to go down. You do have Vince McMahon and the WWE heading into WrestleMania the next 2 days. They're going to have WrestleMania. And if you haven't watched it, they have this guy. His name's Roman Reigns, right? And he's going to face Dusty Rhodes' kid, who's Cody Rhodes, and they call him the American Nightmare. So I think what you have here is you have, shut up, Provo. I see you. Appreciate you. You have these same archetypes here, Vince McMahon and Donald Trump. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and you have Donald Trump, who has, at least in the QAnon storyline, he's connected to the Kennedys, JFK Jr. or whatever. There, in that video I have a lot of the other connections between them. I don't really want to get into it all right now. But I did predict that when Vince McMahon left the company for the sexual harassment charges, I said when he comes back, that's when you're going to see Donald Trump come back. And that was actually one of my only good predictions I made. That was spot on, that when Vince McMahon came back, Donald Trump was back like the same week or within a few days or something. I don't remember now, but it was indicative of that. And now what you have going into the WrestleMania is you have Vince McMahon's ready to sell the company, WWE. So he's in all the bidders that are there ready to buy it. He's flying them all out to WrestleMania, and he's giving them front row seats, and he's going to schmooze them, and he's going to get this sale done. So when you see the sale of WWE shortly after WrestleMania, that's another trigger of something for Donald Trump. And you will see that, I believe. And then you have the main event, Roman Reigns. That's the guy they've had the championship on for years now, a couple years. I believe he's going to lose to the guy called Cody Rhodes, the guy they call the American Nightmare. So it's like the fall of Rome, and then now it's time for the American Nightmare as you get into Donald Trump being indicted. You're going to have chaos in the streets, possibly. I hate to be like doom and gloom, fear porn, because I also stand by nothing ever happens, basically. But it's just going to be the change, that word to me, the American Nightmare. That's what we're going to see coming up. That's what, obviously, well, I can't even say obviously. To me, that's where they want to go, is they want to go to like Civil War, get it that bad, which I think would be very limited. I don't think it would be anything like Civil War, like as you were taught of the first original Civil War. I think it would just be a few battles in a few bigger cities, and that would probably be it. Because, I mean, to me, the one side is not prepared to fight, and the other side is. But the difference is the Donald Trump people, they actually need him to come out and say to do this before they actually do anything. Where the Antifa roaches will always strike first. So, and it all comes down to this too, where they had that Battle of the Billionaires wrestling match. Bobby Lashley, this guy on the right, that was Trump's partner. And then Vince McMahon's partner was a guy named UMAGA. And he even had the MAGA in the name. And that was in, what year was that? It was that big Samoan dude. Forgot, it's a long time ago. 2007? Wait, what year was the... I gotta watch my own videos because I can't remember. Okay, yeah, that event took place April 1st, which is today, 2007. Okay. And so all this happens at basically like the beginning of the new year, the pagan new year, whatever, the beginning of spring, April 1st. And you have Donald Trump going into the tomb, right? Pretty soon, too, right around the Easter time, too. And then he'll rise again, as they want to kind of put that storyline on him. Okay, Twitter kind of looks like Trump's hair if you flipped it upside down. The other one is if you did the Dove, with Trump hair, with the Dove soap, put it upside down, looks like Trump's hair. I don't know how well you can see it. But then, there it is. Donald the Dove. Donald Trump predictive programming. It's all over, man. If you just go through it. Erie, Indiana. I used to watch that show with my girls. 1992 episode. There's a sketchy salesman named the Donald that shows up and tricks everyone to sign a contract Unbeknownst to them, they are signing away their souls. Everyone who signed the contract ends up sleepwalking like zombies to a bus, which displays as its destination hell. Also note that there is a reference in this video to the cure for the common cold, an obvious encoded reference to the jab. Land of the Blinded said 100% scripted. It's a movie, a game. The Bible is a scripture. The politics play it out. Most High allows it as a test, though. Simpsons predicted it. Here, this is the one I'm looking for. I just wanted to show a couple of these. This guy's always got good videos. What's his name? It's like,
they have to respond quickly.
I think it's the 88 in Roman numerals, finus temporis or whatever. Decodes all these videos with the predictive programming. It's going to blast through on 2x.
Trying to scrape up a down payment for a little fixer-upper in your neighborhood? Take a look at my next guest. There's a report around Wall Street that this is
What did I do? What did I do? Hold on. Blowing it, man. Here it is. That's the one I want.
This is what he has in mind. This is Donald Trump, 33 years old.
What is this?
And some people think that he wants to buy the World Trade Center, the 110-story Manhattan skyscraper that anyone can pick up if they've got the coins.
Provo. Yeah, one of Donald Trump's first TV appearances, they say he's 33 years old, and then they say he wants to buy the World Trade Centers. That's another thing that can always come back into play is Trump can say, I have this, or someone really can say, I have this information that proves this X about the Twin Towers.
This is Donald Trump, 33 years old, and some people think that he wants to buy the World Trade Center.
Yeah, Gremlins 2, there was a Donald Trump-like character named Clamp. Daniel Clamp.
Today's tour, and don't forget, pick up your copy of Mr. Clamp's best-selling book, I Took Manhattan. The Center is just one part of Mr. Clamp's round-the-world business network, which includes construction, sports, finance, and, of course, a popular line of jams and jellies. Now, for those of you who have cable TV at home, the Clamp Cable Network is located right here in the building.
The death of Mr. Wayne removes the last obstacle to developer Daniel Clamp's long-delayed Chinatown project. This quaint little shop, which once housed many rare objects from the Orient, must now make way for the future, Daniel Clamp style.
See, to me, the only way there can be this many predictive programming for any of this type of stuff is just if there's people that know about it, right? Here's the one I was looking for. This one also looks fake to me too.
Said quite seriously that he's a good enough bargainer to negotiate
It looks like a green screen background or something. But just to show you, get that imprinted in your mind, the Donald Trump character side by side with the Twin Towers. He did predict it. Yeah, he predicted it in his book. Basically, 2000.
I really am convinced we're in danger of the sort of terrorist attacks that will make the bombing of the 1993 Trade Center look like kids playing with firecrackers.
So he basically predicts it. Everything they do, though, they present him as he cares about the American people and about, you know, getting good trade deals and good economy and everything for the good of the American people. And similar to Elon Musk, kind of, that's the way he talks too. This Donald Trump, when he did win the presidency, it was on 11/9. And I've told this story before, but I don't know how many people heard it. I was working at the Club Warehouse at the time, and this guy comes in the day after Donald Trump won the election. So it must have been 11/10. And this guy's in a daze. He's in a stupor. He's a little bit old. And I'm like, hey, do you have your membership card? Can I, but he almost like he was lost and almost like he was like senile or something. And then I start talking to the guy, and finally he goes 11/9. He's like, this is going to be the new 9/11. This is the new terrorist date or something. And then I was like, oh, okay. And I probed him a little more, and he was mad that Donald Trump won the election. That's why he was like so out of it that he seemed like he was almost like a senile. He wasn't that old where he would be senile. It was just like some old lib dude. He's probably up crying all night. But he literally said that the next day that 11/9 is the new 9/11 because Trump won a popular election according to the TV. Insane. That's how insane these people are. And there's an entire playlist on here of the Donald Trump, predictive programming. I thought there was more videos than this. This Finest Temporis, I haven't seen this one yet. The plane crash code. What is that? 4 years ago, only 6,000 views. He's got decent decodes, but then he goes so far with it too. But all right, man, I think that's all I got. There's plenty more Donald Trump predictive programming things, and I know I forgot some. So leave them in the chat if you're watching this later. Let's see if I can, how do I was going to try to dump people into Bernie's stream. How do you do it? Here we go. Oh, I can't do it. The only thing that's bad about the YouTube raid is they have to manually allow you to do it. Wait, is this? So I don't know if Bernie Sprite doesn't have me allowed to dump people in there, so I can't do it. But that's what I was gonna try to do anyway. So all right, man. Appreciate all you guys for being here. Yeah, Larry Silverstein said, "Pull it, bitch. It's time for me to pull it." Appreciate you guys. Hopefully you got a good stream. That wasn't, if you're all paneled out. I know some of you probably are, but then I'll be back on that panel channel. Get chalked up soon. Make sure you go follow. Appreciate your time and peace out.